Hello and welcome to Inner GPS Gurus. How are you all? I hope you are in a happening energy because you are working on yourself. And as long as you keep working on yourself, you will feel good about whatever you do in your Kundalini awakening journey. So, are you ready for today's insight? The powerful truth, the facts. So, let's get started. Today's topic is Kundalini awakening stages or different stages of Kundalini awakening. In this topic, I will discuss and give you clarity about the different stages of Kundalini awakening and how you can process your Kundalini at each stage. If you need my guidance, if you need my help, then I am always here and you can contact me for your Kundalini diagnosis, coaching and healing sessions online. All the description of how to contact me is given in the description and our team will interact with you and guide you about the coaching session, the booking formalities. Alright, if you are going through Kundalini awakening, then this video is definitely for you because it will give you the clarity that you always wanted. And if you are not going through Kundalini awakening, then you can skip this video. The insights that I am going to share in this video may relate to you 100% or it may vary from person to person because I am telling about the stages of Kundalini awakening from the perspective of the total process of evolution. So, in short, there are 7 main stages of Kundalini awakening in which Kundalini processes itself from the root chakra and reaches to the Sahasrara and crown chakra. Once Kundalini reaches and pierces Sahasrara, then you are declared as a free being, an enlightened person, and the one who can live freely and his journey is over in a certain way. But there are higher levels of evolution beyond the 7th chakra and that goes towards 8th chakra, and there are many stages of 8th chakra as well, or you can say there are many levels of 8th chakra. Now, let me give you a brief clarity on the function of Kundalini and how Kundalini processes through the 7 chakras as she works on you to make you a transformative and powerful being. Kundalini has certain function and Kundalini performs this function aggressively because she wants you to make free and remain free thereafter. So, these functions include purification of your energy channels, thereafter the cleansing of the energy channels including the chakras. The next process is transforming you into a new being and thereafter making you realize who you are. That is the step of self-realization. This is the 4th function. After that, self-stabilization and lastly, self-expression. Now, this purification, cleansing and transformative process happens continuously 24/7 and 365 days into the number of years for which Kundalini does this function. During this process, Kundalini travels through your 7 chakras. How it does? It goes through all the chakras one by one, not necessarily in serial order. It may jump suddenly from the root chakra and go towards throat chakra or Sahasrara, come back again, and this process keeps on continuing throughout. Now, this process of cleansing, purification, transformation happens throughout, and you have to experience it completely as Kundalini functions. You have to go through the process without you having a say in the process of either changing the function of Kundalini or changing the way it functions. It could be totally unpredictable steps that it will take, and it will disrupt your life as a human being. It will disrupt the process of you living the life of a normal human being from the perspective of your health, wealth, relationship, and other functions of life. You may feel that your life is not going on the way you have planned, the way your mind has planned, the way society has planned. It may vary in a dynamic way. So, these functions happens at 7 chakra levels, and each chakra has different stages. For example, there are 4 stages in each chakra. Then at each chakra, at each stage, there are again 100 levels. And through my clairvoyance power, I read you, I diagnose you at which point you are, and I help you to go ahead with the steps required to unblock that chakra or unblock that level. It is like the Kundalini is an elevator, and you have 7 storied buildings, and Kundalini is going from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th and 7th levels of your 7-floored building. It comes back again like an elevator, does the function of the 2nd floor, then it again goes up to 5th floor. So there is no rule of Kundalini to function in a certain way. It decides independently in each individual based on the karmas that are blocked in your energy channels, the intensity of vikaras and vasanas you have in your mind, the intensity of acquired self, that is ego, or what you are identified with in this birth or millions of births. Based on that, it increases the intensity. Now, all these things happen in you simultaneously without you knowing that you are going through Kundalini awakening. So I suggest, if you are doubtful and you are having the symptoms of some spiritual awakening going on in you, then you can contact me and I will help you to unblock your Kundalini from that level at which it is stuck. I have the clairvoyance power, like the way satellite knows how the GPS functions. Similarly, I have that power to diagnose you, your inner GPS, your Kundalini, your energy, and what steps need to be taken to process your Kundalini from that step. No amount of spiritual practices or other meditation will help you if you are not connected to the Guru. The Guru has the power to process your Kundalini. I have the power to give you Shaktipat online, and through my Shaktipat, your Kundalini moves because I am the Shakti myself and I have the power to move your Kundalini. So you should be clear that once you get connected to me, the guidance will be throughout and you can take the number of sessions required to process your Kundalini. For example, if you are 40 years of age, your body's age is 40 years, then you have accumulated at least 40 years of garbage in your mind. You have accumulated 40 years of knowledge in your data bank. Now these 40 years of knowledge needs to be cleared, cleansed, and it is not possible in one session for you to go through the purification, and that is why Kundalini has awakened in you. So getting this clarity, this understanding, now I am explaining you the 7 stages of Kundalini awakening and how at each stage you can facilitate the function of Kundalini. So first stage is of root chakra cleansing. Root chakra contains most of the dark energies, the lower energies, the negative energies like fear, insecurity, the energy of previous birth in which you were a victim, and that energy is too much stuck in the root chakra. This energy is extremely dense and Kundalini needs to work on this energy with full force. The way wind is blowing right now, it has to apply that pressure. This wind that is blowing right now is the pressure to cleanse the dense energy in the environment. Likewise, Kundalini has that power. Kundalini works forcefully at the root chakra and makes your pathway towards ascension to the next chakra. Once it works on your fear, insecurity, and when you are going through the stage, then there are many turmoils that you go through. You go through the fear of being stuck at one place. You may face the fear of the unknown, going into the unknown, taking risk in life. You may prefer to remain at one place, being comfortable in your home and not taking any actions. Even if opportunities come in your life, you may feel that you are good at one place, stuck in your home or flat, apartment like place. So my suggestion to you is, if you feel that you are stuck in one place and you are not taking the opportunities given to you from the universe, then you should contact me at that point so that I can move your Kundalini and you will be able to go ahead and make use of the opportunities in life. The second stage, and again I am saying these stages that Kundalini go through is not in chronological order, not in any order. Kundalini decides for itself in which order she wants to flow, and likewise she will perform the function. Now, the second stage is of sacral chakra. At sacral chakra, Kundalini will ensure that the energies of blame, shame, guilt, all these energies are little less denser than the energy of fear, but still in high density. And Kundalini needs to work on these energies so that you can participate in life. You can take interest in the activities of life. At this stage, mostly when you are stuck, then You don't feel like participating in the functions of life. You don't feel artistic. You don't feel like being engaged in music, art, or creative aspects of life in any form. At this stage, you run away from relationship also. You don't want to be a part of the relationship of any kind on a serious note. You don't want to commit to anyone. If you are already in a family where you have certain responsibilities, you want to skip away those responsibilities completely, and you want to stay aloof, introvert, and not much participate in the festivals, celebration, and all those things that make up the matrix. So, Kundalini works on this aspect of life. Although she takes you away from the matrix, but it makes sure that once it balances your sacral chakra, then you will be able to participate in life in a new way. You will be able to create your life the way you have wanted to create and not follow the matrix completely. And this is how you will progress in the evolutionary process. You will move ahead in your journey, and this is what Kundalini wants from you. She wants you to participate in life. She wants you to celebrate life. She wants you to be involved in the music, listen to music and other aspects of creativity like painting, dancing, cooking, learning some skills that involves creativity. So all these things Kundalini wants from you. The next stage is the most important stage, and that is the solar plexus stage. At this stage, Kundalini wants to make you functional in the wealth aspect and financial aspect of your life. If your Kundalini is blocked in the solar plexus region due to your karmic unsettled account, then you will not feel like working in a professional way. Mostly you will face difficulties with financial matters, money, loans, liabilities, too much of financial liabilities. All these issues will be in your life. You will be taking unconscious, abrupt decisions regarding finances. You will be misused by many due to your financial wealth. Means if you are having many relationships revolving around your financial matters, then many people will misuse you. And if you are going through such issues, then you can definitely contact me and I will help you clear your karmic debts related to finances. So Kundalini works on all the karmic settlements related to finances, money, wealth in your solar plexus region. Your career opportunities, your work opportunities. If you are doing a job, then it will make sure that you are losing your job and you are creating something on your own. And this solar plexus region is directly connected to your core and directly connected to your career. How to make your core strong? I have already created a video on the secret technique, and you must watch it and implement in your life if you want your solar plexus to be strong. Once Kundalini crosses solar plexus, the third chakra, then it moves ahead towards heart chakra. Now 70% of the population on earth are in the lower three chakras, and again there are different levels of it. So no two people are at the same point at one point of time. Everyone is having a different point, and I diagnose them based on where they are. The way you know that a car is moving in a certain direction, your GPS guides you which turn to take after you have traveled a certain kilometers. Then your GPS tells you and you move in that direction. Likewise, I, the satellite, will guide you where you are, how much more time you will be remaining in your solar plexus region, and what actions you should take to process this energy, so and so forth. Heart chakra people, when Kundalini moves in the heart chakra, you are exclusively a personality who is nice guy in nature, and you face all the difficulties, all the problems of the nice guys at this chakra. You will face imbalances in your love energy. You will not be able to exchange love with anyone. Your heart chakra will be blocked. All the time you will feel that you want to give love, but there is no one, not a single person who can receive your love the way you want to give love. So at this chakra, you should embrace whatever is coming your way. You should take initiative to love animals. You should take initiative to plant trees. You should take initiative to connect with the environment, to connect with the nature, and connect with the divine energies at energy vortexes. You can go at natural places. You can spend more time in nature, but do some movement activities. Don't sit at one place. It will not help you. If you do some walking, jogging, running in nature, then it will help you a lot. You can do trekking also, and that will also open your heart chakra a lot. Try to connect with the natural things like a child. Be in wonder with what the nature is offering you, and you will feel that gradually but slowly your heart chakra is opening. Even if after doing all these things your heart chakra feels blocked, then what you can do, you can come to me, the Guru, and at this stage you should understand that this is a transition phase of you merging with the divine. Once you have crossed the hurdle of the heart chakra, there is highest possibility that you will be enlightened in this birth with the help of the Guru. So it is like promotion to a higher degree of educational setup. First you do your schooling, then college, then higher education, then PhD. It is that kind of journey, and Kundalini makes sure that if she wants to make you free, then she will keep on clearing all the chakra at the lower levels. All the cleansing will happen, and when the time of the Guru comes, you will come to know that something is pulling me. And if that pull you are experiencing while watching this video or watching any of our videos, then understand that Kundalini is guiding you to meet the Guru. If you meet based on your inner GPS, the way Kundalini is guiding you, then you will get the results of further ascension from Kundalini, because she is signaling you that the time has come. So listen to that signal and open your heart chakra and move ahead, because the journey ahead is of power, the journey ahead is of courage. And once you cross heart chakra, you will feel courageous, you will feel powerful, you will feel that life is much more than what you have experienced so far. You will feel that it's a happening life and there is so much to do and work on yourself as an individual. So take this opportunity and meet us. Once Kundalini crosses heart chakra, then the next is opening your throat chakra. Throat chakra is a very powerful chakra, and at this chakra Kundalini will make sure that you start speaking the truth. You will not be confined to the beliefs, notions and the conditioning of your mind from the society, from the matrix till now. You will be courageous, bold and strong to function as an individual. Once your throat chakra is open, you will be fearless. You will not take anyone seriously. You will ensure that your life is lived the way you want to live. And as a man, you will feel that strength and stamina. In all these stages, you will feel that you are evolving as a person if you follow what Kundalini says, how Kundalini guides you in the entire journey. So go ahead and listen to Kundalini and take the steps. If she tells you to swear words towards a person who has hurt you, abused you in the past, then go ahead, call that person, meet that person and give back what that person has given you. Don't stop by believing something that something will happen to you. Nothing will happen to you. If you take this bold step, you will be blessed. You will become a new version of yourself. You will become a lion. Initially, you had spent your life in the herd of sheep and you believe that you are a sheep. With this step, you will feel that you have become a lion. You are living your authentic reality. So do that. Have that courage and go and punch that person in the face who has taken you for granted. At this stage, you will also feel like living the matrix. At this stage, you will feel creating your independent life because now you are an empowered person. Your heart chakra is open. You have felt the abundance of the universe. You now no more fear about living alone. You now are strong enough to live your authentic life. So do that. Most of my students worldwide who have gone beyond the heart chakra are now confident people creating their life. Some of them are fully free, independent, enlightened, and they are living the best life that a person can live in IGG Freedom Model. We have created IGG Freedom Model for you, the people who are going through Kundalini Awakening and you cannot fit in to the matrix. So, go and read the guides. There are 5 to 6 guides on our website about IGG Freedom Model. You will learn the art of living freely by working as a freelancer. You can take freelancing projects and there are many aspects that you will learn from those guides. If you want to learn more about it, then you can contact me for the personal coaching. All these actions need your presence and you must ensure that you are taking that action, whatever is required for your progression in the Kundalini journey. Kundalini loves action takers. She is in favor of the people, men who take actions, take responsibility for their life and do not run away from the responsibilities. So take actions, go ahead and take the opportunity to explore your powerful self. After the throat chakra, Kundalini moves up to your third eye, and when your third eye is activated, you will get intuitive powers. You will learn to access your inner GPS and you will also learn how to access your inner GPS. Gradually, as you implement the actions given by your inner GPS, mostly based on your feelings, not listening to the thinking of the mind, the thoughts of the mind, and following your feelings all the time, then you will get access to more powers. At this stage, Kundalini wants you to merge with the divine and she pushes you towards many actions that will lead you to the crown chakra. At this stage, you should not resist the process because this stage is of unpredictability. In third eye, you will feel that life has become unpredictable. Life is more about not knowing what will happen in the next moment. So how to overcome this stage or how to process this stage of Kundalini. At this stage, the best step is to follow your energy. Live your energetic reality no matter what. And this is how you will be able to process Kundalini towards crown chakra and Sahasrara. The last stage in your physical body, that is crown chakra. At this stage, what happens? Kundalini reaches after clearing all the chakras. But this is not the end. At this chakra, the chances of getting stuck is the highest. Why? Because Kundalini has reached crown chakra after years of processing, and during these years you have accumulated knowledge, spiritual knowledge too much, and you have created an egoic block. I have covered in detail also about egoic block, so go and watch that video to get more and deeper clarity about how egoic block can lead you to not become free. You feel at this stage that you are bigger than the Guru. The egoic block is of that kind that some of the people who contact us for the coaching Shaktipath, they feel that how come we Energy PS Gurus are so young and powerful and become a Guru. They have invested 50-60 years of their life in gaining spiritual knowledge and yet not free. Then my question to you is, why you are not free yet? What is blocking you? What is stopping you? This question is directly from Kundalini. Kundalini asks you at this stage, why you are not free? Why you are resisting the freedom? Why you are not surrendering completely? Why you are not receiving? Why you are so much stubborn at this stage? And this is the last block, and this block will take decades to be cleared. Some of the cases that we handle, people reached crown chakra 20 years back, 30 years back, and now at 80, at 75, 80 years of age, they have come to us. Their state is they are stuck in that stage for last 20 years. Nothing is happening in their life. You should feel scary about this situation. So if you are anywhere in the 6 chakras, understand that don't accumulate the egoic and the self-acquired identity with the spiritual person. That will create a block. Unlearn everything at each stage. Be grateful to Kundalini if it has crossed one chakra and you have moved to the next chakra. You should feel powerful and grateful and perform the function of that chakra wholeheartedly, like a child. You should not be boastful about that Kundalini awakening is going on in you and you are someone special. You are special for Kundalini, but not for the ego. You are the chosen one for the soul, because you are blessed that in this birth you are getting free. So, people who have high level of self-identity, acquired self is too much stubborn, and they have identified themselves with the spiritual person. Kundalini will be blocked at the crown chakra, and that is the point of not getting free, not becoming free. At this stage, only one can help you, and that is the Guru. If you have a Guru, then you should surrender to that Guru, and if you do not have a Guru, then you can meet us, reach us with your surrendered attitude. Only IGG Avadut has the power to enlighten you through physical Shaktipath in this world, and for decades, if you are not free, then you should meet IGG Avadut, meet us for a physical Shaktipath session. In this session, we will be freeing you. This will be the glimpse of enlightenment. And based on the blockages you can take the number of sessions as required. Some of our students take hundreds of sessions in a year or in a span of 2 years, 3 years, based on what period is required for their freedom. For example, if 3 years are required for your freedom from now, from the point you contact us, then during 3 years period you can take 100 sessions or 80 sessions, 50 sessions, 10 sessions based on your need. There is no fixed number of sessions required for anyone. If you are highly surrendered, then maybe in one session you will be free. If your Kundalini has processed really well, your karmas are cleared, your debts are cleared, then maybe in 3 to 4 sessions you will be completely free. But all this will depend on your receptivity, your state, your respect towards the Guru, your conditioning, your willingness to lose yourself, your willingness to kill yourself, your old self energetically. All these things will be required. So I will prepare another video, create another video on how to receive Shaktipat. That also you can watch and get the clarity. For this topic, the 7 stages that you go through in Kundalini awakening requires certain commitment from you, requires total investment of your time, money and energy. How to receive the physical Shaktipat? You can contact us and our team will respond to your questions and will get connected to us as you go ahead. You must understand one thing, that Kundalini has awakened in you to make you powerful. Kundalini has awakened to make you a free person who will take independent responsibility of his life. And if you follow what Kundalini says, then you will be blessed with freedom, happiness, peace permanently, and you will be free from the matrix and the cycle of birth and death. But if you do not follow what Kundalini says, then you may be stuck for decades in this life, and maybe in this life you will never be free. If you keep hold of the ego, then you will never be free, that is for sure. After you cross the 7th chakra, the next chakra is 8th chakra, and there are again different layers and levels. At 8th chakra, when your powers will start coming, siddhis will start coming. So, if you want to know how to get access to those powers, siddhis, then there are definitely sadhanas required, and that we the Gurus know which sadhana is required for you and for what period you need to do. At the same time, at all the stages, there are some sadhanas that you need to do, and those are not the spiritual sadhanas. Those are sadhanas for taking actions in life, and you should go ahead and take actions in life, then only you will move ahead. Only meditating at one place, not taking actions, will not give you any result. You can be free only by taking actions, and that is proven for our students, and I suggest you that you should go ahead and take the steps required to be free from your karmic debts. At each stage there are karmic debts, at each stage there are vikaras and vasanas. At solar plexus you will face anger, frustration, stress, jealousy. All these vikaras and vasanas keep you stuck at the solar plexus. For the lower 2 chakras I have mentioned in the beginning of the video. At heart chakra you will feel that your love energy is stuck, you are fearful, you are not courageous, you are stuck where you are, and your heart chakra is closed. At throat chakra you will feel suppression of emotions, you cannot express your feeling, you cannot express what you want to say to the person. So, your freedom of expression is stuck in the throat chakra. At the third eye, too much of thinking and too much of overthinking is obstructing your flow of life. At crown chakra, your egoic block or your head region is always burdened with the identification with a personality in the world. And Kundalini has massive task of clearing all these blockages that you have accumulated for millions of years. These 7 stages may take 700 million years to be crossed. But if your Kundalini has awakened in this life, feel yourself privileged that she wants to make you free and become powerful so that you can live an independent life happily. The purpose of this life is happiness, and if you want to have permanent happiness, then go through the process willingly. Take initiative, participate in life, take actions, meet the Guru, do what the Guru says blindly. Do not question the Guru. Do not doubt the intention of the Guru. Our purpose is to free you only if you work on yourself. So invest in yourself, start taking initiative and meet us as soon as possible, because if you want to be free as soon as possible, then only the Guru, we Inner GPS Gurus can help you. Alright, so I have discussed all the aspects of this topic. Still, if you have any questions related to your Kundalini awakening journey, then contact us for my online Kundalini awakening, coaching, healing, Shaktipath and most important diagnosis session. And if you want to take physical Shaktipath, then also you can contact us and our team will interact with you and guide you for the further process. So take care, stay blessed, feel powerful, feel life and participate in life. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.